everyone, and welcome to Energy, the Ultimate Healer Symposium. So excited to have you here today. We have Derek Rydell here. Derek, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
It's great to be here.
Awesome. Awesome. We have a really exciting topic today. We're talking about activating your destiny, which really is, it sounds really juicy to me. So I'm excited to really dive into this topic with you today. Before we do that, though, for those of you that don't know Derek, he's part of a new generation of spiritual visionaries and thought leaders. Derek Rydall is the #1 best-selling author of Emergence, 7 Steps for Radical Life Change, which reveals the revolutionary principle, the law of emergence, showing people how to tap into the pattern of perfection in any area of their life and create the right conditions for it to unfold. And the Abundance Project, 40 Days to More Wealth, Health, Love, and Happiness, which he lays out a time-tested system for activating the abundance principle, which sets you free from the belief that outer conditions determine your life and shows you how to generate everything you need, no matter what condition you face. Derek's diverse background includes training top executives at Fortune 500 companies, including American Express and the Walt Disney Company, in empowered leadership and communications, and coaching celebrities and media professionals, including Oscar and Emmy winners, on creating conscious entertainment. As a contributor to top blogs, a frequent podcast guest, and the host of his own top-rated Emergence podcast, he shares cutting-edge spiritual principles and success strategies to help you achieve financial freedom, master productivity and creativity, and live your greatest life's work at the highest levels of success. Love that, Derek. Love, love, love.
And I'm sorry we're out of time now.
We're done.
We're done. I had to say real quick, that picture behind you is very much a picture of Emergence. That's really, it's got the tree, like on the cover of my book, Emergence, there's the oak tree and shows the roots and then the branches, and that image is just beautiful. It just reminds me very much of the image of how life emerges from down and up, and you got the sun behind there. Maybe it's the moon. I don't know, but
yeah, I love that. I love that interpretation. Sorry, my dog must love it as well.
Conversations with dog.
Yes. So I wanted to dive in, as I was reading your bio, the law of emergence. What is that?
Yeah, well, so I mean, I won't go to the whole story, but I had an experience, many, many years ago, like so many people, on a journey of self-discovery and personal growth and self-improvement. And my journey of self-improvement, the only thing I really improved was how to describe why my life was so messed up. I got really good at that. I learned and understood all the reasons my life wasn't working, but it didn't really improve anything. It actually drove me deeper into frustration, ultimately depression, drugs and alcohol addiction, almost died from an overdose, and then got back up on the saddle and was trying to, I must just need to improve myself better and more quicker, or attract more, or whatever. And then I almost drowned in an experience. And I won't go into all the details, but in this moment of almost drowning, I had a moment of complete surrender and a flash of light, a vision, and awareness. And I saw that the self I'd been trying to fix and change and heal and improve was a fictional character. He was an amalgamation of parental fantasy and peer pressure and societal conditioning, and there was nothing I could ever do that would make him enough. But simultaneously, there was a self that had never been damaged or hurt, and so he didn't need to be fixed or healed. And it was also, he was already whole and complete, and so he couldn't be improved upon. Now, I didn't understand all this in the moment. It was a flash. But it shattered something, and I was stuck inside a coral reef underwater, and I couldn't get out. And the next moment, I was standing outside on top of the one area of coral that was sticking out of the water, looking in where I had been stuck and almost drowning. So something radical happened. But I ended up pulling out of society, trying to become a monk, That's a whole nother crazy story. It did not go well, but they kicked me out of the monastery. Long story, but stealing food out of their refrigerator. I was trying to be a good monk and fast and be silent. And like 3 days in, I was freaking out, and I snuck into their kitchen and stole food out of their fridge. It was crazy. They're like, you are not a monk. But the long story short is I went on this inner journey, and I saw that just like in the acorn or in any seed, there's already the perfect pattern for its fulfillment. And not only is it in the seed, but it's in the field, in the quantum field. The whole oak is there, the whole apple tree is there. And when the conditions are congruent, when the conditions come into alignment with the seed, with that frequency of the seed pattern, it emerges. So the acorn doesn't attract an oak to it. It doesn't achieve oakhood. It doesn't improve its inadequate acorn nature into a better, worthy oak nature. It's already an oak tree, or it's an apple tree, or it's a whatever, because we all come from a seed. And when the conditions are aligned or congruent, that potential, that true purpose naturally emerges. And so the law of emergence was born. And it turned my whole life around. I went from being broke and suicidal and living in a one-room apartment, living on macaroni and cheese and 19-cent boxes of mac and cheese, which I got very good at making, and to ultimately flourishing in so many ways, and in ways I couldn't have even imagined. And I'm sure we'll get into more of that today, but that's what the law of emergence is. It's basically, it says that the fullness and the perfection of who and what you already are is already contained in the seed of your true nature, which is planted in the soil of your soul. And when the conditions are congruent, which you have control over, those conditions, then who and what you really are naturally emerges, like everything else in nature.
That's very fascinating. So the question that pops up for me is, so, we've been hearing for years what The Secret came out, like the law of attraction, right? Like,
Correct.
So what is the difference, and how do you use the law of emergence?
Yeah, it's a very common question. That was one of the things that really, where I went from zero to, being everywhere as a guest speaker, because I was talking about the difference, and I call it the unattractive side of the law of attraction. And the law of attraction is an operative principle at the level of cause and effect, right? The law of emergence is a quantum principle. And the idea with the law of attraction, the problem with the law of attraction is that it's really a linguistic convenience. It's not really attracting to you. It looks like it's something that's happening separate from you, but it's really emerging in the quantum field. And because there's not really separation in the quantum field. The problem with the law of attraction, it still operates at a level of separation. And so that's why a lot of people struggled they're trying to make something happen. And the law of emergence, it's all about making it welcome. The plant is already there. Like an example, another example I use is right now where we are literally swimming in a soup of radio frequencies. Your favorite music is playing right here, right now, in some frequency. But you can't hear it, it's not manifest. But if you have the structure called a radio, and you tune it to the frequency so that you are a frequency match for the frequency of the station where your music is playing, that station now becomes manifest. Now, where was that in other words, you have a manifestation. Where was that station a moment before? It was right here. It wasn't in the future. It wasn't down the street. You didn't attract it. You didn't make it happen. You made it welcome. You created the congruent condition, alignment, and then it became audible. It became tangible, but it was always right here. And that's the truth about everything. That's what Jesus was talking about. That's the great masters when they're like, when's heaven going to come? And he's like, it's not going to come. It's not going to be over here or over there. It will not come through observation. It's already here. But having eyes, you can't see it. Having ears, you can't hear it. You have to develop a new sense, an ability to discern spiritual reality. And he might have called it quantum reality today, right? You have to develop quantum, Jedi abilities, to learn to live by insight, not just eyesight. But it's here. And so all the great master teachers were ultimately teaching, it's already here, it's already now, you're already it. You just are been judging by appearances and trying to manipulate conditions instead of coming into integrity and into alignment with who and what you already and truly are. The you that has never been diminished, as my vision showed me, the you that has never lost anything, the you that is already whole, that can't be improved upon. It's already here, right? Like the gardener, she can't make a plant happen. She cannot improve upon a plant. She can only create the conditions that make it welcome. Life has already done the heavy lifting. We just need to come into alignment with it. And one last thing about the law of attraction, like many endeavors to make stuff happen in our life, again, what's the prayer? What's the unconscious affirmation? I don't have it yet. I'm trying to attract it. And so what did a lot of people experience when they used the law of attraction? They experienced always being close, or always, it's always there in the distance coming. I'm always attracting. Or even if they managed to, through sheer mental willpower, make it happen, they had to use so much energy to hold on to it because they didn't really have it in consciousness. Like holding a beach ball underwater, the minute you relax, it's going to fly up and hit you in the face. So a lot of people experience not ever getting it, or getting it but not being able to hold on to it. Or like one guy I knew who manifested a Mercedes and then almost went broke trying to keep it up. Like, because they hadn't developed and embodied and become the change they wanted to see, as Gandhi would say. They had merely manipulated matter using their mind, which is what the law of attraction does, and they had not actually embodied it. So the law of emergence is an embodiment process and an alignment process, so that when it emerges in your life, it fits like a glove. It's just natural, and that's the big difference.
Yeah,
There's a lot more to it, but
that's
we'll
really
get into
fascinating. Yeah, really fascinating. So to me, it feels like, we've been told you create your reality, you can make your dreams come true. Like you are in charge, right? Like, is that not true?
It is and it isn't. You can't make your dreams come true any more than you can make the music that's playing right here come true. But you can become true to it, meaning being being in integrity with it, being true to it. So like your music of your heart, of your soul, that symphony of success, that beat of abundance, that rhythm of joy, that is already true. Your dream, your destiny, it's already happening. It's already true. It's never going to be true in some future moment because there is no future. The future is completely a fantasy. There is no past. It's a memory. The only moment that is real, the only moment that you can be who you really are is now. And it's already true now. The only problem is we have beliefs that have become mental, emotional, and physical habits. And those habits form our character. They're like the programming. And our character is what determines our destiny, not our conditions. So that's why Confucius said, all men are equal. It is their habits that separate them. So our emotional, mental, physical habits, they create like the structure of our reality, our story, our belief. And that's what we're living in. We're not living in experiencing reality. In reality, we're whole, perfect, complete. All of our needs are met. Life is beautiful. Life is amazing. This is what all the great mystics and teachers have told us. It's beautiful. We're already here, right? It's already happening. But we are not experiencing reality directly. We're experiencing reality through the filters of our beliefs and our perceptions. Again, Jesus said, it's done unto you as you believe. So we're experiencing our belief about ourselves. We're experiencing our belief about life, our perception, our story. We're in the matrix, or as I like to say, we're trapped inside the museum of our mind. And we're walking around looking at all the pictures, which are all the concepts and beliefs about ourselves and our life. And we're living inside a museum. And what we have to do is have the courage to tap into, what do we truly deeply want? What do we truly deeply desire? The word desire means of the sire, of the father, or of the creative principle. And the desire of our heart, that deep, burning desire that for many people has gotten buried over the dust and grit of our journey, that desire is not telling us what's out there that we need to go get. It's telling us what's in here trying to get out. We're pregnant. The desire, when it kicks, it's like a mother feeling the kick of a baby in her womb. That's telling you you have it already. But then we need to learn, how do I begin to come into integrity with my deepest heart's desire? If that was true about me, how would I begin to act? How would I begin to think? How would I begin to honor and treat myself? How would I begin to show up in my life? If I really was this beautiful, abundant, powerful, confident, successful, creative, loved and loving and worthy being, which you are, how would I start to show up in my life today? How would I start to think? How would I start to talk? How would I start to walk? How would I start to act? And as we build that into not just a once in a while thing, not just when I feel like it, not just when I feel inspired or confident, because you're not going to. You don't have those structures in place yet. But actually building a practice and a way of life where you are practicing every day being in integrity with who you really are, honoring who you really are, treating yourself the way you really are. And then ultimately, you train the world how to treat you by how you treat yourself. And you build a new structure. You build the congruent conditions for that seed that is within you to begin to emerge. I know that's a lot, and we can break that down, but that's the basic.
And I would like to, like, what's the first step? Like, so for us now that are trying to like understand this and tap into it, what do we need to do first?
Well, the first step is, as I'm speaking, to feel the resonance and the truth of what I'm saying. Even if, and I encourage, you're the proxy for everybody watching or listening, to ask any questions that you think there might be confusion on or a lack of clarity on. But the first step is always vision, is always tapping into the vision. If you don't know where you're going, every road will get you lost. Or as Proverbs says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And so we have to, and because what is the vision? When I say tap into the vision, what I'm really saying is tap into that seed of the divine. If you don't like the word divine or God, just the seed of life, the seed of love, the seed of truth. But you have to tap into that. If you're a gardener and you've been charged with growing this plant, you have to know what the seed is, right? You can't give it the right conditions if you don't know what it is. As the Oracle of Delphi says, know thyself. It doesn't say make 6 figures, lose 5 pounds. It says know thyself, right? And it doesn't say, where you don't lose those last 5 pounds, the people perish. It says where there's no vision. When you don't know yourself, then you suffer and you struggle because you don't know how to do the one and only job you've been given, which is to be the guardian of that seed, the gardener of that seed, that flower, that tree of life that you are, so that you can give your unique fruits to the world. It's nobody else's job but yours, primarily, to nurture and honor and cultivate the soil of your soul and grow and flower and flourish. That's our number one job. That's called self-love. And then as we do that, we can extend that and love others, which means to serve and support the full flowering and flourishing of others. But we have to first honor and fulfill ourselves to enough degree so that we're not giving from our roots, but we're giving of our fruits. Most people are giving away their roots because they don't really know what they are and they don't have enough fruits. And then they wonder why their life doesn't flourish because they're giving away the roots just to appease and please everybody, right? But I feel like I'm going to go, can I get an amen? Because it's really true. So we have to first know, what is it that I'm really made of and made for? Who and what am I really? And that's a contemplation and a practice. I mean, I can help people tap into that very quickly, but as a practice, we have to do that for ourselves. And then and some of the ways to discover that is just saying simply, what do I really want? And make a list and write down, keep writing until you cannot come up with anything else, and then do 10 more. Because that's when you're going to start to actually, but what do I really want? Not what do I think I can have, not what do I think is possible, not what do I think I'm worthy of or ready for, not what do I think it's too late, not too soon, not what do I think my husband or wife or kids or mother or dad will approve of, not what do I think will make money, not but what do I really truly desire to be, to do, to create, to contribute? What is the truth? And as you really contemplate that, you start to dig a deeper well. You really, sometimes the well's there, but it's gotten filled up, covered in by dirt and debris. And you dig a deep well back to the fountain of you, back to the wellspring of you. And you start to get back in touch with that, but it can take a practice. And so it's got to be a commitment, not just, well, I'll give this a shot. And then 10 minutes later, like, oh, I don't really know. Back to Netflix or Ben and Jerry's or whatever we do when we're not clear, surf the internet, watch another YouTube video. But we have to do that. We have to discover, what do I really want? What do I really am made for? And maybe remember in the past, what were the things that make me come alive? What are the things that when I see them, they light me up? What are the kinds of people, the kinds of activities, the kinds of locations? Where am I jealous or envious? Because that's what's called a light shadow. That's a projection of your unintegrated potential. When we've rejected it or fragmented from it, we project it onto the screen of the world, and it looks like either what we really admire or what we're envious or jealous of. And that's showing you a dimension of you need to take back. You need to reclaim. I am beautiful. I am successful. I am powerful. I can be a great speaker, teacher, healer, author, creator, whatever the thing is. We have to reclaim all of that we've been projecting away. So those are some of the clues and strategies. We'll talk more about it maybe at the end, but that's some of the strategies to begin to remember who and what you really are. The word remember means to bring the members back together, to bring the parts back together, to come back to wholeness. And so, because we've been conditioned and hypnotized for so long from our parents to our peers to society to experiences, that we've just adapted and coped in so many ways. We've lost touch, some of us, all of us to some degree. So that's the first step. What is the vision? What is the desire? Who do you want to be? Where do you want to go? How do you want to express?
Yeah, I love because I think, when I think of myself, the biggest struggle is, I think I should do this. I think I should be that. I think, and you explained that so nicely of, writing it down, like, like what is it? Who are you? Like, go back to those times of, those times that light you up, like we go through life and, a lot of us are on autopilot and we kind of forget those things. So I think that's really, really powerful. And the biggest thing is like discerning. I'd like to talk a little bit about that, like about, what you think is true or what should be true and what's actually, like, how do you kind of tap into that discernment?
Yeah, it's so funny. I mean, it's literally one of the most common questions. It's phrased in many ways. sometimes you'll hear it like, well, how do I know if that's my ego or my spirit? How do
Right.
I know, you're right? How do I know if that's just my, my will or thy will? Like it's always some version of that question. And it's like we want to have certainty before we say yes and we go for it, right? And in the cases where that's not everybody, but part of the reason is we never learned, or we were conditioned out of the trust in the process of discovery and creativity and unfoldment, because the natural process is, I don't care if it's right or wrong. It's just what I feel inspired to do or what I want to do. Like the way a baby learns to walk. A baby learns to walk because it sees something it wants and it reaches for it and it's too far. And so it crawls at first. And then eventually crawling's not enough, or it's higher up and it starts to climb. And then it learns to walk basically by going for what it wants and falling over and over and over again. Now, it never stops falling. What we do when we're walking is literally controlled falling. If you ever look at a walk is you're falling and you catch yourself, falling and you catch yourself, falling and you catch yourself. That's all. It's controlled mastery of falling. That's all walking is, right? And so a baby learns to do that by, okay, I'm going to fall, I keep falling, but I'm making a little progress every time. And eventually I learn to control my falling and I can get across the room faster. So the same thing is true with whatever we're trying to do. You could call it controlled failing forward. And we won't get into all of it today, but there's reasons why we don't anymore. There's things called values conflicts, which I will actually talk about in the thing I'm going to share at the end. But a values conflict is let's say we want success or we want abundance, but we don't want to risk our freedom or our family. And in our mind, it's become wired that it's one or the other. If there's going to be a cost. And so we won't risk going for it because we don't want to lose our privacy or our freedom or our family, some other value. And so that's a way in which we get tangled up and we can't just experiment and iterate and create and play and make a mess and make mistakes. Other reasons are called shadows. And a shadow is where you got the message early on when you were trying to play and create, you did that wrong. Yeah. Why did you do that? What's wrong with you? And the message is, I'm stupid, I'm broken, I'm inadequate, or being fully expressed is dangerous or bad. And so we have these judgments or shadows. And so we are trying to play it safe or not get hurt or not be a disappointment or a failure or an idiot or stupid or a fool. These are all shadows. And eventually we have to embrace all of those parts of us. And we have to just have the courage again to go for what we really want and understand it's going to be an iterative process. And we're not going to know for sure, except in hindsight and in retrospect, right? Just like, when you follow your GPS and it's not always right, it's right most of the time, but if you've never been there before, you're just literally driving blindly. Take a left. Okay. She says, take a left, take a right. All right. Get on this highway. All right. Where the heck are we going? Okay. This is an interesting neighborhood, but you just trust and you follow the GPS. Well, you have a GPS, your own God positioning system or good positioning system. It's within you. And you just haven't you haven't followed it for a long time, or you follow it, off and on, and kind of like Siri, it's like, she says, take a left. And, I'm going to go straight. I think I'm just going to go straight. And she's like recalculating. And she just goes, okay, turn left here. Okay, turn left here. Okay, make a U-turn here. She never goes, God, what is with you, man? Will you just listen to me? But so that same GPS is going on inside of us. So as we honor it as best we can and keep listening, it might go recalculating. Okay, try making a right this time. Okay, now try it this way. Okay, try. And eventually you develop the channel again to be guided to trust your own voice, to trust your own guidance. But that's not going to come before, right? The treasures that we seek and that we need are outside the map of our reality and identity. The familiar territory that we circle around, where we built the walls of our fortress to keep the bad things out and to protect us from going out into the uncharted territory of life, we already have found all the treasures we're going to find there. The treasure, the growth, the evolution, the real healing is outside that boundary. It's outside where it's been mapped. And so we have to be willing to fall, and the beacon that shows us where's the treasure is that desire. But it's an adventure. So you're going to get it wrong. It's gonna be exciting and scary and tenuous at times. But if you keep following it, what happens is you expand your map of reality. You expand your territory. You discover the answers and the solutions and the treasures are all beyond where your comfort level is or your comfort zone. And then you gain more trust and you gain more confidence. And as you gain more confidence, you'll take more action, you'll develop more competence. And now you're in what's called the confidence competence loop, or a success pattern. Now you're in a feedback loop of positive affirmation. If you keep waiting to be right, then you'll end up in a failure pattern, in a feedback loop that is going to cause you to shrink your territory, right? Or fortify it to make it even more difficult. So we have to have the courage. It starts with the desire, starts with what do you most deeply value? What is your vision? What do you really, really, really want? And then we have to begin to move in the direction of that and have the courage and the commitment. And then we have to become the person we would be if we already had it. And that's what Gandhi is saying, become the change you want to see in the world. We have to become it. We have to embody it. We have to tune into it until our mental, emotional, and physical habits are of the type or the way of a person we would be if we were already living it. But that's not so that we can attract it. That's the old law of attraction. Well, I'll just act as if and fake it till I make it and I'll attract it. Then the moment you think you're faking till you make it to get it, you now just tuned back out of your station. You went from K-rich to K-lack, K-L-A-C-K. You have to stay in, keep tuning back into I am, I have, I can, I'm able, it's already happening. And then from there, listen to the guidance, take the next step. Tune back in, take the next step. And eventually, and you'll fall and you'll get up and you'll run into a wall and you'll get back up. And eventually you'll build a new embodiment and it starts to become automatic. And again, your character, which is your habits, that determines your destiny, not your conditions. So no matter what you've been through, no matter what you're going through, no matter what appears to be lost or that it's too late, when you embody that integration, when you come into alignment, it must operate. Like, I'll give you one more example and let you go to the next question. But like, if you, let's say you never knew how to swim and you learn the law of buoyancy and you learn how to come into alignment with your body, with that principle in the water, in that moment, you float. Now, the law of buoyancy in the water can't go, well, I'm sorry, you've been sinking all your life. It's going to take a long time, kid, or you come from a long line of sinkers. I think it's just your destiny to never float or swim. There is no such personal, it's like the minute you're in alignment, boom, you float. The minute you organize your wires according to electroconductivity principles, you have electricity and you have light. It doesn't matter if you're a saint or a sinner, if you've had a long life of being in the dark, the minute you plug in, you have light. And so as soon as we come into alignment with who we really are and what we're really made of and made for, it must start to emerge. It must start to flower. It must start to flourish. And it's an ongoing journey.
Yeah, and it feels like where we get we kind of get stuck is like we start to go and then back up, right? Like either something
Exactly.
happens, like that failure. I love the controlled failure. Like that was a big relief when you said that word, that, that phrase, because it's like,
Yeah. I saw you smile when I
it
said it's
was, it was like,
controlled
wow.
falling.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like that's just like, okay, like it's life, like it's gonna happen. But when you keep going and you keep moving forward instead of like backpedaling, like, oh, must be wrong direction. I'm gonna go this way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a really, can I just touch on that for a minute?
Yeah,
Because
please.
that's critical. That's one of them. I mean, that is the whole ball game, which it's the reason the average person doesn't live 70 to 90 years. They live the same year 70 to 90 times.
Hmm.
Okay. And the reason is because they start to follow their desire. And then they bump into what I call the threshold. And the threshold is all around the edge of your perimeter, because they understand the ego's job, it's an evolutionary mechanism to ensure that you do not change in any way that could threaten the survival of the species. So change was very slow evolutionarily, right? We didn't just, you know what, honey, I don't like this cave anymore. Let's go find a better cave. We didn't just pack up and move for no good reason. We didn't just go explore the wild beyond and just, come on, kids, let's go on a camping trip. Like, and you're dead, right? And there's a saber-toothed cat and you're dead. Or there's no water, there's no food, so change was very slow. So the ego, its main job is to keep you the same. It's really important to know that. It's not that the ego's bad, it's just that's its job. It's a program. It's a map of reality and an identity, and it's doing everything it can. As soon as you go outside of it, it will delete, distort, create a threshold response, fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, danger, and bring you back into alignment with your program. Everything that threatens that set map of reality is like a virus to the system software. And it has really well-developed virus software to stop that. And it thinks it's protecting you, right? And initially it did as a species. And it also initially does for a young emerging being, that's just learning to walk and talk. And it's not, it has to keep some consistency there. So that's the first thing to understand. And so what happens is we have to learn to reinterpret all of these signals. I'm stupid, I'm wrong, I'm bad, fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, stress. That must mean, or, the doors aren't opening, it's not flowing, it must mean it's not meant to be. It's like a big metaphysical, no, that's not what that means. When it doesn't flow, that does not mean it's not meant to be. Look at the lives of the greatest leaders, artists, creators, success. Their life was full of catastrophe and challenges and loss and lack of flow. What matters is, what do you truly want? What is truly wanting to emerge in you? And then when we hit those thresholds, like what's a good way to, there's another way it's trying to come through. Yeah, you just got to think about it like you're digging a new well, or you're extending the trench. Like, even in your neural pathways, your map of reality is physical in your nervous system. And when you try to build a new skill or habit or direction outside of that, it's a physical job. It's like you have a town and you want to put a new highway through that. And it's going to have to tear up the ground and tear up the concrete. And it's a labor. It's a physical process. It requires endurance and stamina. Otherwise, naturally, your brain will just go back to the old pathways. Okay. So again, it'll feel hard. Like if you're working out and you're trying to lift and grow your muscles, and you can do 10 reps. And after 10 reps, like, I can't do it. I got nothing left. And you stop. That's called maintenance. There's no growth there. All growth happens on the 11th rep and beyond. It happens in the rep you can't do, right? And that's why you need help sometimes. It's the rep you can't do, and you're like, and it tears your muscle. And it sends a signal to your body that says, we need more resources than we've ever needed before in those areas. Let's activate our greater potential. And suddenly more energy goes to those places, and it builds a bigger muscle that now can hold more energy, because the body now believes, the mind believes, the world we're living in requires more of me. Now, that's the way it's meant to be. So that's true, whatever endeavor. If you want to write a book and you've never written a book, or you want to take your business to the next level, or heal your relationship and have hard conversations, whatever it is, right where you think you cannot go any further, that wall, whether it's fear, doubt, worry, judgment, attack, loss, all the growth is on the other side of that wall. Mm. And so, because what'll happen is if you hit that wall and stop, your mind, your evolutionary system is not getting a signal that says we need to become anything more. Only when we go over that wall and we now are pulling on the potential, and it's like, we've never been here. We need an upgrade. We need more life, more energy, more inspiration, more creativity, more abundance, more courage, whatever it is. And that signal now goes, okay, let's bring in the resources. That's what it means to be resourceful, full of source again, to be tapped into that source of inexhaustible potential. And suddenly, now initially, like working out, you might be sore. You might be, oh my God, that took it out of me. Oh my God, that conversation nearly killed me. Or, but if you take a break and then go back to the gym in 2 days, you'll start, if you take a break and you go have another hard conversation, you take a break and you go write your book again, you take a break and you go start dating the next guy or woman or whatever the thing is. Now your body's like, okay, this is real. This is happening. We are growing. We are living in a new territory. Send more resources. But if you stop and you go, you know what, on second thought, I'm good. It's like literally like the old telephone operator. It's like, please hold. And it's like, oh, no, there's nobody on that line. And they plug back into the old line. Your neural pathways literally go, oh, on second thought, guys, bring the team back. We're not building this new highway. And it brings all the resources back, and it keeps fulfilling the old patterns. And if you keep starting and stopping, that's all that's happening. It's like, all right, guys, come on, we're building a new town. Oh, sorry, false alarm. Let's go back. All right, guys, come on, we're building, false alarm. But if you go, no, we're building it. We're going there. I'm writing that book. I'm launching that business. I'm building that relationship. I'm healing that relationship. I'm getting in the best shape of my life. Yes, I'm scared. I'm afraid. I don't want to do it. Why are you making me do it? Who is this idiot Derek that told me this idea? I hate him. It's like, but I'm doing it anyway. And it's like, this is for real, guys. Bring the whole crew. We're doing this. And it will build the structures mentally, emotionally, and physically that you need now to stay on that highway and build a new path to a whole new territory full of all kinds of riches and treasures and resources that have not been tapped. And then your life expands. And that is the process. And again, the signals of fear, we won't get into all of it today, but they have a specific meaning. There's a message in them. And the message is not stop. Yeah. The message is you're believing a lie, apprentice under the truth. The message is you're stepping over your voice. Don't do that. Let your voice be heard, et cetera, et cetera. And then you take another step. You take another step. And your destiny begins to be activated. It begins to be integrated and embodied. You build the internal structures and the external structures that can hold and support a bigger life, more flow. It's a bigger highway now. It's not just a one-way lane. It's 4 lanes now. It can handle that traffic or whatever the case may be. And your life goes to a new level forever, permanently. And it's a whole new habit.
I love that. You're such a good storyteller. I love, because you simplify it.
I'm like a talking doll. Just pull the string and it's like, no.
but you bring it in a way that you can visualize it for yourself, right? Like it makes so much sense. Like when you talk about the town and just, and what did you say? We just keep reliving the same year over and over again, because it is like that. Like January, like I'm going to do it. This is going to be the year. I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then you hit that wall and you're like, you're right back into old habits.
And you don't realize it. And that's why,
Right.
it's really important to understand it's not our fault. It's evolution. It's literally evolution running. You can transcend it, but it's like the Matrix. It feels so real. No, I really have to stop. No, I can't. I'm too tired. I'm too scared. I'm not enough. It's not the right timing. My mother-in-law needs my help. My kid is sick. My husband is working harder. There's always a good reason when you hit that border. And it's had millennia to develop its argument and make a case and make it good production value so that you cannot tell the difference between, is this live or is this Memorex? And I'm really dating myself there.
It feels like though it disguises itself. Like the closer you get, the harder it is to kind of discern that. Like,
Yes.
so I'm just thinking in particular for myself, like, I had all of these plans, like I was going to put in place, like I was going to start this, this, and this. Then COVID hit, and it was kind of like, well, now's not a good time. And then as those years passed, it was kind of like, I'm just really content. Like, what if my purpose of life is just to live, and be here? And, like over the past couple of days, I'm like, I think that's hogwash. And now talking to you, I'm like, I know it's hogwash, but it's
That's
funny.
another one of the common patterns. Go ahead. Yeah, go
No,
ahead.
but it's just funny because like while I'm living it and going through it, I'm like, I'm really content and happy. And, I didn't reach whatever the goal was that I wanted to reach, but that's okay. I'm good.
I'm good. Yeah, that's a really common one. That's why I almost wrote a book called Killing Us with Comfort, because comfort is, if you have just enough of whatever, it's a really good rationalization. It's why Jesus said it's easier for the camel to fit through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter heaven. A rich man or woman, and it can be rich in wealth, rich in health, rich in relationship, doesn't need God, doesn't need evolution, doesn't need to grow. I'm good. I got all my needs met. I'm good. And actually stagnation starts. You stop growing. You stop, and anything that stops growing starts dying. And you're not alive as much. You're not living your destiny. You're not living your potential. And that's why there's a lot of healthy, wealthy, successful people in those terms that are miserable. Mm. And it's also why you can have tragedy and catastrophe and great loss, and even in certain countries and cultures where they have nothing, and they're some of the happiest, most joyful, most purposeful people you've ever met. And that doesn't mean you can't have both. You don't have to be poor necessarily to be happy, but it's an understanding of what is the real fruit and the real value of life. And the real fruit and value is greater and greater aliveness, greater and greater self-expression, greater flowering and flourishing. And for some, that will look like more money, more success, more opportunity, more relationships. But all of us must flower and must flourish and must shine and must keep circulating the inexhaustible life force within us in order to be alive. And what did Jesus do to the fig tree that stopped growing figs? He cursed it and it died. What happens to any plant or any branch in the garden that's not flowering and blossoming? Either it blooms or it gets pruned, right? And so we have to keep living on that emerging edge, on that evolutionary edge of our being. And that doesn't mean stress. That doesn't mean struggle. It doesn't mean push. It just means saying yes, yes, yes to our yes every day. And then, then we're like, we want to say yes to everybody because we want to help. We want the whole garden to blossom. And yeah, comfort, it's good enough. Challenges, obstacles. The key thing is just to know that every obstacle, whatever's in the way, is the way. Whatever the challenge is, it's creating the condition for growth. It's an evolutionary trigger. Just like certain trees, the jack pine, need a forest fire. And other plants need really rocky, rough soil. And the chicken needs to be stuck inside a little egg and try to get out and peck, and its pecking to get out actually strengthens its wings and its lungs and makes it capable to live in a bigger reality. Everything is serving and conspiring if we keep staying committed to know yourself and be true to yourself. Those are the two, the left and the right foot of walking towards your success. Know yourself, be true to yourself. Know yourself, be true to yourself. And eventually you're running and you're flying. So,
oh, I love it. So I think, Derek, I would really like to know, this all sounds wonderful. I know for me personally, like I need help through it.
sure.
I need tools. So what I would like to do is you have a program that you're going to talk to us about. I would like to talk about that now, and then also to let you guys know, Derek does have a free gift for us. I'll announce that at the end of the call, just to give you a heads up on that. But if you want to go now to blissupnow.com/Derek. Again, it's blissupnow.com/DEREK. And Derek, if you want to talk to us a little bit about how this program can support us in what you're talking about.
And we're talking about the best day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting because, I had an intuition that this would be the right thing to offer people. And I did not plan this, but literally everything we talked about, maybe it's just your brilliant interviewing skills, but everything we talked about was literally describing step by step the journey that I take you through in a very in-depth, very comprehensive way in the Best Day Blueprint. Because the idea is there's a great and magnificent destiny that's seeking to emerge in all of us. And just like a beautiful garden and all the beautiful flowers, but there's certain things you need for that garden to flourish. There's certain structures you need. There's certain habits and practices and how you water it and weed it and feed it and all the things you have to do to make something flourish. And the problem with most of us is we have this desire, maybe like we talked about, we want to write that book, launch that business, heal our body, get a great relationship, whatever the thing is. And as we start to do it, we hit those thresholds. And we think it's reality, and we pull back, or we take a new direction, we follow another shiny object, and there's no focus, there's no structure, there's no real support structure. We don't develop the commitment and the discipline and the rituals and the practices that allow that focus to become permanent, to take us through those thresholds and build inside of us the ability to keep writing the book when we're bored and we think it's terrible, to keep going to the gym when it's not working, and who do I even think I am, and who's ever going to love me anyways, or whatever the thing is, right? So the Best Day Blueprint is about designing your life and designing a day where the goals and the things that matter most, where the habits and the practices you need to attain those and to embody those and to become those is literally designed into your day, right? I think you, even before we started, you were going to ask me a question. What is it again about how do you make sure you have a great day or something like that?
Yeah, well, let me find it, because I did have a really good question written down.
And that fits right into it, because the problem is, left to our own devices, if like there's the old saying, if you're not thinking for yourself, somebody is thinking for you. And left to our own devices, these unconscious patterns of coping and protection and reactions to previous pain and trauma and all these things is happening automatically. The life we've got right now is the product of our core habits, of our core focus. Like I said before, our destiny is not determined by conditions, it's determined by character. Our character is built out of our habits. Our habits are built from what we are consistently focused on with commitment. And what we focus on and commit to is what we truly value and what is our greatest vision. And so for most people, even though you think you want more money or you want greater this or that, if we look at your actual values, look on your conversations, credit card, calendar, the things you're actually doing on a regular daily basis, you would be shocked to discover you don't value what you think you value. You value safety, security, comfort, convenience, not getting hurt, not making a mistake, not looking stupid, not being wrong, not being disappointed. So what this does is it helps you see that, helps you organize your life and organize your day and build a practice, a ritual, a structure that is aligned with that seed that is trying to emerge in you. So that you know when you show up to your life each day, it is supporting you. The places you're putting your focus, the things you're doing, the things you're no longer doing, your morning ritual, your evening ritual, your afternoon practice, it allows you to design a structure that ultimately puts your destiny on autopilot. And I can tell you, this is not theory because it's the way I live every day. And I can tell you, having gone through some of the most incredible tragedy and challenges. I don't know if you know my story and all the things I've gone through, but I lost a child a few years ago. I lost a fortune a couple of years ago. I've gone through massive challenges. And like I said before, those challenges are there to crack you open and take you to the next level. It's all relative. We all have our version of challenge. But because of this that I'm going to show people how to do, I not only was able to get through those challenges and heal through those challenges, but ultimately on the other side, to thrive, to be more creative, more productive, more deeply anchored in my destiny and my purpose through some of the worst possible challenges a human being could go through. Any one of the things I've gone through is enough for most people. And I've been able to traverse many things so that I can also take that wisdom back to people. But this will help you survive, thrive, and take your life to the next level, whatever you've been through. And build in the new program, the program that is not merely keeping you safe in your old, life, in your old potential, but is actually supporting you in taking it to the next level. And it's a very in-depth, comprehensive program. Obviously, they'll see that when they look at the page.
Awesome. And so I'm assuming this is self-study, right? Is it video,
Correct.
audio, or?
It's audio. It's audio and workbook and all that.
Nice.
Let me see if there's anything else on there that I wanted to mention real quick. It's one of my more popular programs, and I'm practically giving it away.
Awesome. And
But
so
it's very in depth.
I'd love for you to
Also, real quick, one other thing that we didn't talk about today, but the other thing about our day and about having the things that matter most to us, or like structure and schedule, people think it's not just so you get more busy. It's so that you make sure you do the things that matter the most, that they become prioritized. And the other thing people don't understand, they're always talking about time management, but it's also important to understand energy management. And in this program, I talk very specifically. The whole thing is really about organizing your day around your unique energy blueprint, because we have different types of energy. We have platinum, we have silver, we have gold, we have different energetic periods in our day. And one of the problems people have is they don't understand that. And they'll have all this great platinum energy and they'll go do the laundry, or they'll start answering emails because they got all this energy. So they'll just do a bunch of tasks, and then they sit down to write their book or have that hard conversation or do the thing that actually is going to allow evolution and growth, which requires the most high quality energy. And they're dealing with silver or aluminum energy. It's like they just don't have it. And they're like, I don't understand. I'm just busy all day, but right? And so by your laugh, I can tell that
it's kind of like one of those moments.
Yeah, it is definitely. But we don't understand it until we understand it. And so it's not just doing the right things, it's doing the right things in the right order.
Yeah.
And understanding your energetic blueprint, and how you need to organize your day so that Like, people don't understand, how is it, even through all these challenges. I've written like 4 books in the last couple of years. I've written 150 songs. I've launched multiple new programs. I have a, marriage and family and all these things that I do, but I'm not busy. My day is full, but it's stacked. And it's stacked in a way that I'll do this, and then I'll go, do an ice bath, and then I'll go write, and then I'll go take a walk, and then I'll go have a conversation here, and it's all stacked, understanding my energetic blueprint. And it allows me to keep optimizing all these dimensions of my life. And that's what I'm going to show people how to do in this program.
That's really cool. That's very cool. Very, very eye-opening for me. It was like, oh.
For all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really common. I still catch myself every once in a while. It's like, oh, now let me rearrange my desk and clean. No, stop, come back to what is really important. Do that first, and then notice you'll have the energy you need to, rearrange your desk if that's still important.
Awesome.
But
so for the people that have done a lot of, programs, they've been through, a lot of programs. How is this different? Like, to me, it feels very empowering and very like taking control of myself. But I would love to hear in your words, like, how is that? How is this different, or something that's than what people are used to?
Well, first of all, fundamentally, what we talked about on this call in the beginning, in the emergence principle, that is fundamentally a 180-degree turn for most people. Most people, all humans, in fact, until they're not, are hypnotized to believe that life is happening to them, instead of understanding that it's happening through and as them, and that whatever's missing is what they're not giving, and that life is never holding anything back from us, but we hold ourselves back from life. This is all fundamental to the emergence principle. And so underlying all of this is the emergence principle. So that's different to 99.9% of everything else out there. And I didn't come up with that, by the way. As I said, I came up with the way to teach it, but this is the ancient teaching. This is the teachings of the great masters, but it's put into today's parlance. And so that's the first thing that's going to be very different, and really is a revelation, and ultimately can be a revolution in people's lives if they're willing to embrace it, is that you've already got it all. I'm not giving you my blueprint. I'm helping you to uncover your blueprint, and helping you to create the conditions to flourish the way life naturally is always doing it, and is ready and waiting to do it through you. And whatever I'm teaching, that's the foundation of it all. And then this takes that and hones it in on the one unit of time that is the only unit of time we have any control over, which is today, now. Today is it. If you master today, if you live today like it is the ultimate best day of your life, and you're being fully expressed, then your next today will be as good or better, and you will evolve, instead of putting it off into the future, or leaving it in the past, or giving your power away to somebody else. This creates the container and the structure so that you can flourish today, and ultimately make it a habit, and put it on autopilot. That's what I think is very, very unique and different about this program. But there's many, many things, and people will see that when they look, one way or the other, however you find it, you must understand how to master today, however you do it. Because if you don't, your good will always be somewhere in the future or in the past. You'll always be waiting, or pushing, or pining, or yearning, and that'll be your life. So if you want your life to be living and flourishing and flowering and thriving today, then I think this would be a good choice.
Yeah, for sure. So before we announce the gift link, I would love to know, like, we've heard your story, and I don't know if you can answer this or not, but we've heard your story. I would love to hear stories of clients, of people that have, whether it's this course or other courses that have come into this law of emergence? Like, what's happened? How have their lives changed?
It's a funny question. It's like, like I'm tooting my own horn, and it's not really me personally. It's the principles that work. But we've got pages and pages and pages and pages of testimonials. People that have been on the verge of bankruptcy, have turned their whole life around and had more business than they could handle. One person, and this is just, symbolic of many people, who was broke, alone, living in their car on like 30 prescription or dozens of prescriptions, got off all the prescriptions except I think one or two, got engaged, got a home, like completely turned their life around. People, pretty much anything, people that have been healed from multiple, even though I don't claim to be a physical healer, when this emergence process is activated, when you get out of your own way and there's not stagnation, life can flow through you freely and fully. What happens wherever there's more circulation, there's more life, there's more growth, there's healing. And so people have been healed, kidneys that were failing started working, PTSD healed, all kinds of healings, lots and lots of demonstrations of success, starting a business when they never thought they could, writing and being published as an author when they could never have imagined, making more money in a month they'd ever made in a year, making more money in a year they'd ever made in a lifetime, filling their practices. Trying to think of any other really interesting ones. Just a lot of those. Really, really, really major is people suddenly discovering that, not suddenly, but discovering that they really do have a purpose and a mission, and living it and feeling the fulfillment and the richness of like having agency again, being, powerful again. Like, oh my God, I matter. My life has meaning. I have something to give. Really taking back their power, really reclaiming their voice. There's a lot of women in my community, just a lot of women in general that do this work. The men are figuring it out slowly but surely, but we're always a little slower on the draw. But we're so busy out there lifting heavy stuff, So, but there's a lot of women that have reclaimed their voice, reclaimed their power in relationship or as individuals, and living their mission and making a living. And, a lot of people that have realized this core principle, no longer giving away their power or looking outside of them for the safety, security, support, survival, but reclaiming that power and that confidence within themselves so that they could live authentically. Because one quick thing, if you think somebody or something outside of you is your source, you're going to start to, like, you could lose something or lose somebody. You're not going to be able to be yourself fully. You're not going to always be able to speak your truth or follow your truth, because it's going to bump up against that threshold, and it's going to look like you're going to get fired, or you're not going to get hired, or you're going to get rejected or abandoned or lose something. But when you know you've already got it all, there's a freedom. And then instead of you having to manipulate yourself and others to feel safe, you are just able to be yourself, and the people and the situations that are a match for you show up. So you can just be your freaky self, like in the Bible, it says the meek shall inherit the earth, but it's a typo. It really was the freak shall inherit the earth. And so you get to let your freak flag fly and be authentic and be empowered and be beautiful and crazy and unique. And then the people and the situations that serve and support that, they show up, rather than you trying to fit your round peg into a square hole, in your life. And that's what most people are doing. So a lot of that kind of healing and freedom, and then all the different, success or money or whatever that follows from them.
That's so cool. And it starts with this day, right? It starts with today. And
right now, right here, this is the day. This is the day. This is the only day you can have the breakthrough. This is the only day you can have the healing. This is the only day you can be who you really want to be. And it's just relative, meaning you can be the genius you are today, it might only appear like this much genius, but this is the moment you can be all of yourself. And if you are willing to be all of yourself today, the next today, there will be more of you, and then more of you, and then more of you. And you don't have to put your life on the layaway plan anymore. Again, really dating myself. What's the layaway plan, Grandpa?
Oh,
Well, Sonny, that's what's Memorex? What's tape? Who is this old guy? Got to come up with some new metaphors for the young kids. Hey, boomer. No, I'm not Mexican, I'm a boomer. I'm not a boomer.
Oh, that's funny. Very cool. I absolutely have loved this conversation. I could go on and talk about it for a long time. You're very fascinating. And like I said, a great storyteller. I do want to announce the gift link. Derek has given you guys a free gift. If you can go to blissupnow.com/Derek gift. Again, blissupnow.com/DEREKGIFT. So you can grab that from Derek. Derek, this is such a
great now. I love Bliss Up Now.
Bliss Up Now.
And then I'm going to help you guys develop your blissipline.
Yeah.
Become more blissiplined.
That's cute, actually. I like it.
You can use it to fit your brand there.
That's right. Derek, thank you. This has been fabulous. Really enjoyed this conversation.
Likewise. Much love to everybody, and I hope to see you all or connect with you all soon.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Have a great day.